So good evening, students. This lab class, we are going to discuss about common emitter amplifier with fixed bias arrangement, how to perform analysis on this. Okay. So I'm going to simulate this experiment using everycircuit.com and show you the output. So before going to the simulation, let me give a small introduction about this. So actually you can do three types of analysis, right? So the first one is called as DC analysis. DC analysis means you're going to determine all the Q point values. That is all your DC voltages and currents with respect to the applied DC voltage. Okay. Then under AC analysis, we are going to see the waveform with respect to time. That is called as transient analysis. And the next type of analysis is you're going to see how the output is going to change with respect to frequency. So that type of analysis is called as frequency analysis. Is it clear, students? We have got various types of analysis, DC analysis, then with respect to time and with respect to frequency. Okay. So here I have shown you a fixed bias circuit, right? So your fixed bias circuit consists of a DC biasing voltage called VCC. Okay. Then your biasing resistors are RB and RC, as you know. Then to make it as an amplifier, I am going to give a AC sinusoidal input signal through a capacitor to the input base terminal. So can you tell me what is the name of the capacitor, which will be available in the input side?
C1.
C1, what is the name? C1 is a representation. What is the name
Locking
of that capacitor?
capacitor.
Yes, good. Because
Locking
it is,
capacitor.
yes. Similarly, you're going to have a capacitor at the output side. It is called as
Coupling capacitor.
okay, good. So once I've given an input signal, I'm going to get an amplified signal at the output side. Okay. So if you do this experiment in the lab, you're going to see the output waveform using a device called a CRO. CRO means cathode ray oscilloscope. Okay. So you can see the waveform, everything using a device called a CRO. But here we are going to use it simulating software. So wherever out signals you have to give a view, you have to place a probe and see the waveform. Is it clear? So this is a fixed bias arrangement, right? Now, can anyone say what is the stability factor for fixed bias? Just to check whether you are able to relate the theory which you have studied already. For a fixed bias circuit, what is the expression for stability factor?
1 plus beta.
Yes, very good. So beta is going to be a very high value. So you say that the value of stability factor is also very high. Okay. So as I told you already, remember the various types of analysis which you can do on this circuit. Okay. So the procedure which I'm going to tell with everycircuit.com is common for all the experiments. So you can repeat the same procedure. Okay. So first I'm going to do the first type of analysis called DC analysis. So for doing this DC analysis, the DC voltage should be available. Okay. And I need not give any AC input signal. So obviously I'll not be getting any AC output signal also. And we need not consider any capacitors because in DC analysis, all the capacitors will be taken as open. So you have to simulate the circuit using the software. In that you have to put just the transistor, the biasing resistors RB, which is going to be 200K. Then collector resistance RC, which is going to be say 1K, and the biasing voltage called as 20 volts. Okay, so you have to draw the circuit and you simulate. So when you simulate, you will be getting all the DC voltages and currents. Okay, so that will be displayed like this. So the applied VCC voltage is 20 volts. So it shows that this is your collector terminal, right? So it shows that your collector current is 9.7 milliamps. This is your base terminal. This is your emitter terminal. Okay, so it shows that the supply is going to give a current called 9.7 milliamps, out of which your collector current is 9.61 milliamps. And this is your base current IB. And it shows that your base current is going to be 96.1 microamps. And next one is, you see, base voltage is displayed as 0.787 millivolts. That means when you convert this to volts, so it's going to be 0.78 volts. Okay, va? So the software tells you that your base voltage is 0.78 volts. Emitter is grounded, so it is going to be 0 volts. So what is going to be the VB drop? Base voltage is 0.78 volts ma. Emitter is grounded. Emitter voltage is 0 volts. So what is going to be the VB drop? What is the formula for VB? It's going to be VB minus VE. Yes or no? So what is the base voltage? Base voltage is 0.78 volts. Emitter voltage is 0 volts. So 0.78 minus 0, it's going to be 0.78. So as you know, when you get the VB drop as 0.78 volts, you can say that the transistor which is used in the software, it's going to be a silicon type of transistor. Okay. So after simulating the circuit, you will be getting the values like this. But we have to check whether it matches with the theoretical calculation also. Okay. So under fixed bias, you know that when you write a KVL in the input base side, you get the expression of IB like this. IB equal to VCC minus VB divided by RB. So what is VCC in the diagram? It's going to be 20 volts. Actually, VB, generally I'll substitute 0.7 volts like that. But here it is showing 0.78. So I'm taking that same exact value. Then you know that RB is equal to 200K. So if you substitute, you'll be getting 96.1 microamps. So you see the base current is how much more? 96.1 microamps. Next, you know that IC equal to beta times IB. So roughly I'll take beta as 100. So 100 into 96.1 microamps will be 9.61 milliamps. So you see the diagram. The collector current flowing through RC is 9.61 milliamps. Then in the fixed bias circuit, when you write a KVL in the output side, you will be getting this. VC equal to VCC minus IC into RC. So on substituting the values, you're getting it as 10.39 volts. So in your simulation, it is showing 10.4 volts. Then as I told you, VB is going to be same as VB. So that is 0.78 volts. So that's all about your theoretical calculation. This is what your simulated results. So both are going to be matching. And the next type of analysis which you're going to do under AC analysis is called as transient analysis. What do you mean by transient analysis, ma? Analysis with respect to what? Time. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I'm going to give the input signal through a function generator, through a blocking capacitor. It goes to the base of the transistor. Then from the collector through a coupling capacitor, I'm terminating the circuit with a load resistance RL, and here I am going to see my output voltage. So this is your input voltage and this is your output voltage. Okay, now as an input voltage, I am going to give a sinusoidal signal whose value is going to be 50 millivolts in the positive side and minus 50 millivolts in the negative side. So what is the amplitude of the input signal?
100.
Amplitude means peak to peak. So how much is going to be? 100 millivolts. Okay, then I'm going to set the frequency as 1 kilohertz. So automatically your time will be 1 millisecond. Because you know that time and frequency are reciprocal to each other. Then I'm going to see the output here. So my output is also going to be a perfect sinusoidal signal. That means when all the design, everything is done properly, you're going to get faithful amplification. What do you mean by faithful amplification? What do you mean by faithful amplification? The shape of the input signal and the output signal should be same. If I give a sinusoidal input signal, my output should also be a perfect sinusoidal signal. That means no clipping in any portion of the waveform. When all the design procedure, everything you're following properly means you're going to get a perfect sinusoidal signal. Okay. Now, if you see the sinusoidal signal, which is output, it is ranging from minus 1.24 to 1.16. So what is the amplitude of the signal now? What is the amplitude of the output signal? Minus 1.24 to plus 1.16. So what is the amplitude? Amplitude means peak to peak. This height I am asking. This side is 1.24. Above it is 1.16. So when you add these two, what you will get? When I add these two, what you will get, ma? 1.24 plus 1.16. How much is that?
2.4.
2.4 volts. So I am giving an input signal of 100 millivolts amplitude, but because of the amplification done in the circuit, I am getting a large output of 2.4 volts. Okay, but here the point to be understood is the time period of the input signal and output signal will be same. The input signal is having a time 1 millisecond, means my output is also going to have the same time period 1 millisecond only. Only the amplitude of the signal will change because of the amplification done by the circuit. Okay, so this also I'll simulate and show you. And one more point you have to understand is here I am doing the simulation with RB say 200 kilo ohms and RC as 1 kilo ohms. Okay, so you can try with some other values also. Likewise, here as an example, I'm giving minus 50 millivolts to plus 50 millivolts. You can give minus 20 to plus 20 or minus 10 to plus 10. That is your choice only. But see to that positive side and negative side, that amplitude is same. And one more thing, try to give input only in millivolts. Then only the amplification take place and you'll get a proper sinusoidal output. Already if I give a high value of input means what will happen? Your transistor, it's basically a small signal transistor, right? So it cannot amplify a large amplitude signal. So obviously you'll be getting clipping in the output waveform. But you know that our aim is always to get faithful amplification. So when I give a small millivolt signal, I'll be getting a proper amplified output signal in volts. So this is one type of analysis. And the next type of analysis is, as I told you, you're going to do with respect to frequency. Because in your EC1 theory, you know that your fourth unit is nothing but the frequency response of amplifier. So what do you mean by frequency response graph, ma? What will you put in y-axis? What you will put in x-axis? In frequency response graph.
In x-axis frequency, y-axis
gain. Good. So x-axis will be in frequency. Or able to see here, ma? X-axis will be in frequency and y-axis will be gain in decibel. Okay, so this analysis with respect to frequency only, we are going to do it. So with that, you can calculate the bandwidth of the amplifier. Okay, so for example, in the first diagram, if you see at a frequency 1 kilohertz, my gain is showing 1.53 decibels. Are able to see my everything? I'll simulate and show for you. Just have a glance of this. Likewise, if you see the next diagram, the frequency of the input I'm changing to 10 megahertz. That time, what is the decibel value? I am seeing it. Okay, so I can change the frequency of the input signal. As a sample, here I have showed you 1 kilohertz and I have showed you 10 megahertz. So I can change the value of the frequency of the input signal and I can see how my gain is going to be. Okay, so using all these details, you can plot the graph called as frequency response of amplifier. So as you rightly said, x-axis will be frequency, y-axis will be gain in decibel. Okay, so you know that at mid-frequency region, your gain is going to be constant. Yes or no? At mid-frequency region, your gain is going to be constant. How the gain is going to be in low and high frequency region, ma? Can you say?
Decrease.
So at low and high frequency region, your gain is going to be lesser. Can you tell me what is the reason? Why gain is decreasing at lower frequency region?
Because of external capacitor. Due to external capacitor.
Okay. Why gain is decreasing at high frequency region?
Due to internal capacitor.
Okay, good. What are the internal capacitors ma in BJT transistor?
Diffusion and transient capacitors.
Good. So first one is diffusion capacitance, which will represent as CB dash E, and the second one is transition capacitance, which will represent as CB dash C. Okay, so all these type of analysis, we are going to do it now. As I said, the amplitude of the signal you can change. Okay, so the values of the resistors also you can change following your design procedure, and you can simulate the circuit using the software. Okay. So the software which I am going to use is called as everycircuit.com. So you have to create a login and create a username and password. You'll be getting a free trial session for 1 day. Okay. So as I told you, this is your AC function generator. This is your DC voltage source. This is your current source, resistor, conductor. This is your polarized capacitor. This is inductor, ground, voltmeter, ammeter, ohmmeter. Your different type of controlled sources. You'll be having various type like voltage controlled current source and all those stuffs. You'll be using in higher semesters. So as you proceed, so switches, everything will be available. Your LED, your PN diode, your Zener diode, your transistor, NPN type of transistor, PNP type of transistor. This is your MOSFET of N type. This is your P type. Likewise, you can have a glance of the various components which are available there. Okay, so first let me draw the fixed bias circuit. So I have to choose which type of transistor for drawing fixed bias.
NPN transistor.
NPN transistor. When you click the component, it will come. When the component is present in yellow color, so you can have all the flexibility to access it. Okay, so wherever needed, you can drag it and place. Okay, so can you tell me what is the collector resistance value more? Collector resistance is 1K. Your default value which your software provides is also 1K. So let me take this as base resistance. So base resistance value, I have to change it as 200 kilo ohms. So here you'll be having a spanner like symbol that is for adjusting the value. So you can move this and adjust to the required value. So 200K, you drag and place it here. So wherever you want wire, just click the start and end point, you'll be getting a wire. Then for the biasing purpose, I have to use a DC voltage source. The value of the DC voltage source should be 20 volts. So once again, go for this adjust spanner. Move this to 20 volts. And I can rotate as per need. So this is your rotate icon. So I'm rotating like this. So the DC voltage should be given to the first end of both the resistors. The negative end of the supply should be grounded. So you can place the diagram at your convenience. Okay, so first I'm going to do the DC analysis. So I need not put the AC input, all those capacitors and everything. Okay, so you click the circuit, you just run it. So you'll be getting a waveform like this. For the purpose of analyze, you can pass this waveform and see. So all those values only I shared in the PowerPoint. Okay, so the total current is 9.7 milliamps. Collector current is 9.61 milliamps. Base current is 96.1 microamps. Okay, so your emitter is grounded. So emitter voltage is 0. The base voltage is going to be 787 millivolts or it is going to be 0.78 volts. So this is about the first type of transistor. First type of analysis, sorry, transistor analysis, that is DC analysis. Okay. Then second type of analysis is with respect to time. Okay. So I have to give the AC input signal and I have to include the capacitors and everything. So what you do is you rewind the diagram. Right. So your original diagram comes back. Now I have to add all the new components now. So this is your function generator. So go for the spanner symbol. See, this software is highly user friendly. This works even in your mobile also. Very easily you can run it. That's why we have chosen this. So as I told you, when you set the input signal, the frequency should be 1 kilohertz. Okay. So what is the input amplitude I set for fixed bias? Minus 50 to plus 50 I told you. Yes or no? So you go for amplitude. Default value it shows 1 volts. But as I said, preferable is your millivolts. So I am making this to 50 millivolts. So as I said, frequency should be 1 kilohertz. And the input waveform should have a positive extension and negative extension of equal amount only. Okay. So plus 50 millivolts, that means negative side is going to be minus 50 millivolts. So the average DC voltage should be 0. So once everything is setting is done, then you can include this in the base terminal of the transistor. Okay, I have to put a capacitor. So let me do it that first. So I need a capacitor. What is the value of the capacitor? It is 0.1 microfarad. So you go to the adjust symbol. Here we don't have that option called 0 point and everything. Okay. So your 0.1 microfarad is nothing but 100 nanofarad. So I adjust this to bring it to 100. As I said, 0.1 microfarad or 100 nanofarads are same only. So I will rotate and I put here one more capacitor I want for the output side. So I rotate and place it at the output side. Okay. So this wire has been deleted. So I redraw it once again. So function generator should go to the capacitor. The other end of the capacitor should go to the base terminal. And this is your ground. Okay. So if you want, you can use a separate ground, or one more option is there. So already you have got a ground here, right? So this ground and this ground also I can connect. Anyway, it's same only. If you don't want this ground, you just delete it. And as I said, both this ground terminal I can connect. So emitter, the negative end of the function generator, the negative end of the supply, everything gets grounded now. Okay, then the collector terminal should be connected to the capacitor other end. I want the load resistance value of 1K. So this 1K is placed here. The other end of load resistance should be grounded. Okay. Now, wherever I should highlight, that you open. Otherwise, default, all the part wiring, everything I'll unhide and keep like this. So you check your connection. DC connection is already over. The other end of the function generator, negative end of the supply, every emitter, everything is grounded. So the circuit is complete now. Okay. So now I am going to do the analysis with respect to time. Okay. So you have to click this. That means run transient you will come. Okay. So first let me see the input waveform. So you keep a probe here. You have a I symbol. It means it's going to show the waveform. Now you run the transient. So you'll be getting a sinusoidal waveform which changes from minus 50 to plus 50 millivolts. So the total height is going to be 100. And we have given the setting as 1 kilohertz. So automatically the time period is going to be 1 milliseconds. So while I set the function generator amplitude, I gave it as 50 millivolts. Remember, so it is going to move from minus 50 millivolts to plus 50 millivolts. Frequency, I gave it as 1 kilohertz. So automatically, if you see, the time period is going to be 1 millisecond. So if you want, you can pass and you see the waveform. Now, if I want to see the output waveform, as I told you, if it would have been a lab means you would have connected a CRO here. CRO means cathode ray oscilloscope. It's a device through which I can see the waveform. But here just you have to click here, you will see the waveform. But what happens is your input is in millivolts and the output is in volts. So both if I see simultaneously, what will happen? I'll be able to see the volt signal, but the millivolts variation, I will not be able to see it. So what do I do is I first rewind this and I'm going to hide the input waveform. Now, when I select this 1K, I can see the output waveform. So you run it. So as I told you, you're going to get the waveform, a proper sinusoidal signal whose amplitude is going to change from minus 1.24 to plus 1.16. So if you want, you can pass this and see. As I told you, the same window, if I click my input waveform and see, the scale is in volts, okay? So I will not be able to see my input waveform properly. That green one represents the input waveform and the blue one represents the output waveform. So for my convenience, I'll hide one waveform and see the other waveform. So this is about your analysis with respect to time. The third analysis which I am going to do is with respect to frequency, so that I can plot the frequency response graph with which I can determine my bandwidth also. So what I'm going to do is, so first once again check whether the FG is at 1 kilohertz. So it is at 1 kilohertz, no problem. So now I want to see the output waveform. So click this 1K, open waveform, it will show. But now you're going to do with respect to frequency. So you have an icon called F no, that you click it. So you'll see that you're going to get a frequency response graph. So if you see, x-axis will be frequency. So as I told you, your frequency analysis with respect to Bode plot, okay? That means all your frequency will be in the decade arrangement. So all your frequencies will be in multiples of 10, right? So that's why it shows 10 Hertz, 100 Hertz, 1 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz, 100 kilohertz like that. Okay. And if you see y-axis, okay, so y-axis will be decibel value of your voltage gain. So 0 decibel, minus 50, minus 100 like that. So this side is going to be the magnitude of your voltage gain. And on the right hand side, it is going to be the phase value. But as such, in our subject, we are interested only with the magnitude value. So you concentrate on this. Now, if you see, the waveform keeps on increasing like this, and it is becoming constant, and I'm not able to see the reduction in the voltage gain. Yes or no? I told you that when you take the frequency response graph, you will be having a midband region. Lower frequency region, it will be like this. But higher frequency region also it is going to decrease. No, that means somewhere after 100 kilohertz only the gain is decreasing. So what you do is you adjust your x-axis such a way that even my high frequency regions come. Now you are able to see the reduction in high frequency. Earlier it started with 10 Hertz. It went to 10 kilohertz. Now this graph is starting from 10 kilohertz and it is going up to 100 megahertz. So this is your midband of region, and in the high frequency region also the gain is decreasing. You have to concentrate on this blue graph. That is only, what do you say? Your voltage gain in decibels. Able to understand? So that means earlier it was your low frequency region. This was your mid frequency region. This is your high frequency region. Okay. Now we have got a graph. Now you should understand how to find the readings. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll move back here. You're getting a vertical white line, Noma. You're able to see here at 1 kilohertz, you're getting a vertical straight line. Yes or no? That is your cursor. This cursor you can move wherever you are needed. Now you see my cursor is here. So the cursor is at what frequency, ma? Can anyone see and tell? This white vertical line is your cursor. So I can move the cursor wherever I want. Yes. Now this cursor is pointing at 2.79 kilohertz. At this frequency 2.79 kilohertz, what is my voltage gain in decibel? It is 10.9 decibel. So for example, let me move my cursor here. So now the cursor is at which value, ma? Cursor is at which value?
10.1
kilohertz.
10.1 kilohertz. At this 10.1 kilohertz, what is the voltage gain? It is 15.7 decibel. Likewise, wherever needed, I can place the cursor. So finally, I will have a tabular column. What frequency? What is the voltage gain? So what you can do, you can take a Semilog graph sheet, plot the voltage gain versus frequency. Right from 100 hertz or 10 hertz itself up to whatever megahertz if I want, I can plot. So for each and every frequency, I'll place a cursor. At that frequency, what is the voltage gain in decibel? That will come. Okay. Now, can you just see and tell me what will be your midband gain, ma? This is all your midband gain, no, ma? Yes or no? Because your blue graph is constant, right? So your midband gain is how much, ma? Approximately. See, this is low frequency region. This is your midband region, right? Now my cursor is in midband region. So midband region, how much are you getting your gain displayed there?
16.4.
Okay. Okay. So to find the cut bandwidth, I should determine the cutoff frequency. So for drawing cutoff frequency, how much decibel I should draw, ma, from the midband gain? Midband gain minus 3
decibel.
Yeah. Okay. Here midband gain is how much? 16.4. What is 16.4 minus 3?
13.4.
So what I'll do is, if I move the cursor left hand side until I get 13.4 decibel. So this is your lower cutoff frequency. So what is, so I'm getting 13.4 decibel. So what is your lower cutoff frequency, ma? What is your lower cutoff frequency?
4.29 kilohertz.
K. Able to understand? In the graph, what you will do, from the midband gain, you will draw a line less by 3 decibel. But here we have got the cursor. So this is your midband gain. So from the midband gain minus 3 value, when you move left, you will be getting your lower cutoff frequency. When you move on the right hand side, you will be getting your upper cutoff frequency. So my midband gain was around 16.4. That minus 3 is how much? 13.4 decibel. So you adjust the cursor towards the left hand side until you get this 13.4 decibel. So what is your lower cutoff frequency now? 4.29 K. Now how will you find the upper cutoff frequency, ma? This cursor I should move towards the right hand side until once again I'll get the 13.4. So here what happened is, until if I move here, I'm getting only 16.4. What is the reason? I have moved up to right hand side, ma, but my gain is 16.4 only. Why?
Mid frequency region.
The gain is constant in the midband.
So what you should do is, you have to change your frequency now. So from that 1 megahertz or something like that, no, I am going for the next range. So previous screen was about up to 10 kilohertz. Now I have gone to this. So this is your midband. This is your high frequency region. So where is my cursor, ma? Your cursor is at 7.61 megahertz. Gain is 16.4. So how much I should shift towards the right hand side now? Minus 3. So what is 16.4 minus 3? 13.4. So I should move towards the right hand side until I get 13.4 somewhere. Now it is 13.6, 13.4. So what is your upper cutoff frequency now?
51.5
megahertz.
So your upper cutoff frequency is 51.5 megahertz. And what is your lower cutoff frequency? 4.29 kilohertz. So if you subtract, you're getting around 51 megahertz as your bandwidth. That is 51.5 megahertz minus 4.29 kilohertz. So almost 51.49 you'll get. So even in class I have said no, my bandwidth will be upper cutoff minus lower cutoff. But comparatively, your lower cutoff is small only, no ma? So your upper cutoff is 51.5 megahertz. With that, if you compare, your lower cutoff frequency is just 4.29 kilohertz only. So my bandwidth will be almost your upper cutoff frequency. So that means I am getting 51.49 megahertz. Clear? So just by scrolling the cursor itself, you can determine the bandwidth. Or one practical method is, as I told you should use a cursor. Each and every frequency, you should find what is the gain. Then you should take a Semilog graph sheet and plot. Okay, va? So as I told you already, now roughly you have got what is the idea, Noma? What is your lower cutoff and upper cutoff? So what you do is, so your lower cutoff is 4.29K, you said. Your lower cutoff, you said it is 4.29K, Noma? Yes or no? So what you will do
Yes,
is,
ma'am.
so in this region, some 4 frequency you take. What is the output? You will see. If you plot, you will be getting this region. Then you know that from 4.29K to 51.5 megahertz, my gain is constant. So you need not waste time. Then after 51.5 megahertz, maybe some 4 frequency you take, find the output. So you'll be getting some 4 points like this. So if when you join, you'll be getting a graph like this. Clear, girls? So using this everycircuit.com, so we have took a fixed bias common emitter amplifier. We analyze the waveform with the DC values. We analyze the waveform with respect to time, and we have analyzed the waveform with respect to frequency also. Okay, va? Now one more information I'll tell you. So I have rewind and come here. Okay. Now, can you tell me why the function generator is showing 51.5 megahertz now? Because at the end of the frequency analysis, what did I do? I kept on increasing the frequency up to 51.5 megahertz, Noma? Yes or no? That means in the input, the frequency I have changed it as 51.5 megahertz. That's why it is showing like this. Able to understand now what I am telling? What is your frequency response graph actually? You should change your frequency of the input signal. At each and every frequency, what is the output? You should note down. So what did I do? I shifted the cursor up to 51.5 megahertz and noted the waveform. No, that's why your function generator is showing this 51.5 megahertz. Now one more question. Suppose I'm selecting the function generator and I'm doing this time analysis. Let us consider. Now, why the waveform is getting very narrowed now, ma? Understand my question? I'm selecting the function data. I'm doing the analysis with respect to time. Okay, I am getting sinusoidal waveform. But why the waveform seems to be so narrow like this?
Because the time period is 200 milliseconds. It has to be 1 millisecond.
Actually, now the frequency of the input signal is 51.5 megahertz. So very high frequency means time will be very much lesser. No. So your time is just 200 nanoseconds only. So high frequency means time will be lesser. Time period will be lesser and the waveform will be closer. Suppose if you finished the experiment, so what you do is you go back to the function data, go to the setting. You see the frequency is 51.5 megahertz, Noma? Yes or no? Now, if you reduce this to back 1 kilohertz, how do I expect my output waveform to be now? If I reduce the frequency back to 1 kilohertz, how will be my input waveform? Ma?
The time period will be 1 millisecond.
Yes, very good. Your time period will be 1 millisecond. Because what is 1 by 1 kilohertz, ma? What is 1 by 1 kilohertz? What is 1 by 1 kilohertz, I asked.
1 millisecond.
But now, why the waveform is like this? Why the waveform is like this? Because the software
Timing
has
on-
taken your time as how much? 50 microseconds. 50 microseconds it has taken. So what should I do? I should adjust my time axis now. See, from 50 now only it has become to 500 microsecond. Now, when I change the time to 1 millisecond, am I getting the expected waveform which you expected?
Yes, ma'am.
So likewise, whatever flexibility or variation if you want, you can try with the software. So as I told you, you can change the value of RB and C. You can give different type of millivolt signal. Height you can change and you can perform the frequency analysis. Okay. So with this, fixed bias analysis is over.